You ever have one of those days where you pull up to your brand new house in the middle of nowhere, your so-called fresh start, only to find a stranger's laundry flapping in the breeze? Some kid's tricycle parked right on your front porch, and the smell of someone else's stew coming through your kitchen window? Yeah, that happened. I'd been driving for hours up mountain roads with no cell signal, just me, the old truck, and that constant hope in my chest that maybe, just maybe, things were about to turn around. All it took was seeing smoke rise from my own chimney, before I even got the key in the door, to realize life wasn't done swinging yet. This place was supposed to be my clean slate. 2 acres, tucked behind a wall of pines, nobody for miles. Just birds and old ghosts. When I'd scrolled through the county auction listing, the photos made the place look like something out of a horror movie, sure, but I saw the potential: a battered cabin, waiting for someone with enough grit and stubbornness to bring it back. Me. That was the plan, until I pulled up and found a family living my dream, like it was just another Tuesday. I stepped out, boots crunching on the gravel, trying to make sense of it. My deed still smelled like printer ink. I hadn't even broken a sweat yet, and there was this woman, messy bun, yoga pants, coffee mug, and a baby on her hip, giving me the kind of look you give a stray dog on your porch. "Can I help you?" she says, all casual, like I'm the one trespassing. And for a second, I actually wondered if I had the right address. I tried to explain, nice and easy, like maybe there was a reasonable explanation hiding in the folds of this nightmare. "I just bought this place at the county auction," I said, holding up my paperwork. She glanced at it, then laughed, like a real, dismissive, this poor sap kind of laugh. "We've lived here for 2 years, honey. Squatters' rights. Maybe look that up before you threaten people." And just like that, she turned and shut the door in my face. I stood there, deed in hand, listening to her family laugh behind those walls. My walls. You want to talk about feeling powerless? Try explaining to the law that the house you legally own is being held hostage by a family who plays the victim so well, even the sheriff starts siding with them. It's wild. 6 months earlier, my life was spreadsheets and city contracts, building dreams for people who never bothered to ask my name. Then the divorce happened, 15 years erased in a courthouse. My ex changing the Wi-Fi password before I even had my stuff packed. I traded my necktie for tool belts, started fixing up old places, because nails and wood didn't lie or cheat. They just needed work, and I had nothing but time and broken pieces to spend. It was my buddy Luis, contractor, philosopher, the kind of guy who's seen enough, who finally convinced me to chase something just for me. He said, "Only you would buy a haunted fixer-upper on purpose." I said it wasn't haunted, it had potential. "Same thing," he muttered, but he loaded his truck with tools and came up with me anyway. First time we pulled into that clearing, even Luis got quiet. "Fresh paint," he said. "New curtains. A steel lock I'd never installed. Someone's not just squatting, they're nesting," he said. And, sure enough, there were cameras now, little black eyes under the eaves. The kid who answered the door, barely in his 20s, looked at me like I was the pizza guy. His mom, Deborah, the queen bee herself, appeared behind him with that same wolf smile. Caretakers, she called themselves. Henry Cole told us we could stay as long as we looked after the place. I tried to argue. County records, tried to reason with her, but she just told me to look up adverse possession. If you're not up on your legalese, it's basically stealing with paperwork. She said, "Let's let Sheriff Collins settle this." The sheriff, good ol' Dan, showed up 10 minutes later, acting like he'd come to Sunday brunch. He glanced at my deed, shrugged, and said it was a civil matter. Not his problem. Told me to leave, or he'd write me up for harassment. I left, but not before I caught Deborah making a show of how threatened she felt for her poor children's sake. And let me tell you, there's nothing lonelier than standing in the rain, watching someone else's lights shine inside what should be your home. Next morning, I was at the county clerk's office before sunrise, pounding coffee, begging for answers. The clerk, Janelle, 50-something, seen it all, found a caretaker agreement signed by Henry Cole and Deborah Miles, dated months after Henry was supposed to be dead. "If you're thinking fraud, that's a civil suit," she said. Civil. Like that word was a fire extinguisher for my anger. I dug deeper. Utility records, tax files, found out Deborah had only turned the lights on 8 months ago, not 2 years. The more I pulled, the the more it stank. Then, just when I thought it couldn't get worse, I woke up to find my name blasted all over. Facebook, greedy corporate investor targeting single mother. There was my picture, standing in the rain, looking like a lost dog. The face of greed, she'd written. My business page tanked. Clients canceled, friends ghosted, and every online comment made me the villain. That's how quick it happens. A lie goes viral, and the truth is left standing at the bus stop. I started haunting the archives. That's where I met Frank, the old records guy, beard, suspenders, still using a flip phone. He found Henry Cole's journal, left behind, probably by mistake. It was filled with notes about deer and storms and loneliness, but the last page hit me hard. If anyone finds this, tell the truth about what she did. Who was she? Deborah? What had she done? A week later, over bad diner coffee, I met Doris, the retired mail carrier. She remembered Henry. Said Deborah moved in to help. Then suddenly Henry stopped coming to town, stopped waving. Doris told me about a letter Henry had tried to mail, a letter Deborah had snatched away, insisting he was confused. That letter, if I could find it, might be the key. Back at the archives, Frank found it, a notarized letter. Never mailed, meant to donate the property to a veterans charity, not Deborah, not anyone else. The caretaker agreement was a forgery, plain and simple. Henry's real wishes, buried under dust, and Deborah's paperwork. I sat there with that letter, knowing Henry never stood a chance. It all started to come together. Careful as a house of cards, ugly as sin. I started poking around the property. At night, body cam rolling, adrenaline high. The basement had been remodeled, drywall in the wrong place. Behind it, a hidden room, sealed tight. Inside, I found Henry's life in boxes, a flag, prescription bottles, notebooks, and a tape recorder labeled in shaky handwriting. If this is found, she's not who she says she is. I hit play, and Henry's voice, broken, scared, accused Deborah of poisoning him, switching his meds, stealing his future. I can't describe that feeling. The horror, the guilt, the cold certainty that justice had gone on vacation and left me holding the bag. I took everything, photos, the tape, the fake paperwork, to Abigail, a retired lawyer with more fight in her than the whole town put together. This isn't just property fraud, she said. It's elder abuse. Maybe murder. She sent everything to the state attorney and the FBI. Deborah must have sensed the walls closing in, because that's when things really blew up, literally. Luis called it dawn. Bro, your cabin's on fire. I raced up the mountain, heart in my throat. The old shed was an inferno, flames licking the porch, Deborah screaming at her son, who was holding a gas can. You think you can ruin our lives? He shouted, hurling the can. It was chaos. Luis tackling the kid, me grabbing whatever I could from inside, the fire biting at my heels. Then came the sirens, fire trucks, sheriff, and one black sedan. The woman who stepped out, badge flashing, was FBI. We've reviewed the evidence, she said, and before Deborah could even get her denial out, the agent started listing charges: insurance fraud, forged documents, elder abuse, arson. They cuffed Deborah and her son, loaded them into cars, and just like that, the nightmare started to unravel. After the smoke cleared, literally and figuratively, the truth came out. Henry's property became what he'd wanted all along, a place for people to heal, not be hunted. Volunteers rebuilt the porch, replanted the garden. Neighbors came by with casseroles and apologies. The cabin wasn't just mine anymore. It was the Cole Cabin Community Home, a safe place for those who'd been burned by trust. The way Henry was. Abigail brought me coffee every morning, strong, black, no nonsense. Luis joked we'd rebuilt the porch so many times, it was officially immortal. And for the first time, peace felt like something I could touch. There was a ceremony, kids running wild, laughter echoing where lies used to live. I mounted a plaque, in memory of Henry Cole. A home should never be stolen. Twice. So, I'll ask you, because maybe you've been there, too. Have you ever watched someone twist the law to steal what's yours? Your home, your peace, your future? Drop a comment below. Share your story. Maybe it'll help someone else spot the warning signs before it's too late. Hit that like button if you believe justice is worth the fight, and subscribe if you want to see more. Battles between truth and deception every single week. Because up here, the mountain keeps its echoes, boots on gravel, laughter, heartbreak, even the sound of justice finally finding its voice. And after all that, I know this for sure. Peace is something you build. Every nail, every sunrise, every second chance.